Today I'm going to talk about an option in Nikon Z cameras which allows you to compose your photos in different aspect ratios without cropping the raw image itself. Stay tuned. This is bugging me for a while now. Why is that some camera brands like Olympus and Fujifilm are able to preserve the full sensor data in the raw file, even though you are shooting in different aspect ratios. They only apply a cropping metadata to the raw file, which can be changed during the post-processing. But for example, Sony and Nikon, they don't do that. Once you selected a crop and you take an image in that aspect ratio, then you lose all of the data in the raw files which are outside the aspect ratio. And also with that one, the option to modify it later during the post. And yes, I know, you have to get your composition right at first place on the location. But sometimes when you look at the photo in front of a 24-inch monitor, you change your mind and you like to adjust your composition or crop a little bit. But if the pixels are lost, then you have no chance. So I'd really like to see the aspect ratio when I'm composing an image. But also, I don't want to lose the pixels in order to be able to modify that crop later in post. So I started to look for a workaround, and luckily there is one for Nikon Z shooters. I really like this solution, so let's get straight to the point right now. So when I want to select an aspect ratio, in my Z5 Mark II I can see the FX, the DX, the 1:1 and the 16:9 crop ratios. And obviously if I select one of these, then everything else is going to be cropped around that aspect ratio. But I don't want to have that one. But there is a hidden functionality in the camera which shows you these aspect ratios as a compositional guidelines. When you usually think about compositional guidelines, then the rule of thirds and golden ratios and these kind of things come to my mind. And yes, you're right, you have to look for this functionality exactly there. So if we open the menu system of my Nikon Z5 Mark II camera, then you have to go down to the custom settings menu and you have to go to the shooting/display point, and here you have to go to the grid type. And as I talked about it, you can find here the rule of thirds, so 3x3, a 4x4, which is I don't know what it is, and also a 5x4, 1:1 and 16:9 ratios. So theoretically, if I select any of the last three, then I'm going to have a compositional guidelines for these aspect ratios. Let's do that. So we selected the 5:4 ratio. So theoretically, if you configured your camera to show the compositional guidelines or grids, then you're going to be able to see these aspect ratios. And I think it's really, really useful. For this to be set, you have to do another thing. You have to go back to the menu and you have to go down further below to the custom monitor shooting display point. You have to go there and you have to configure your framing grid into one of your displays. I configured 4 different displays. You are able to configure 5 altogether. So on the first display I have everything shown which I wanted to see, but no framing grids and no horizon. On the second one I'm only going to see the photo which I'm taking without any kind of distraction. On the third one I configured only the framing grid, which is in this case the 5:4 ratio. On the fourth one I configured the horizon level. So all you have to do, you have to go here and you have to check the tick box you wanted to see. And as you can see here, I have only the framing grid selected. Let's go through it again quickly. So custom menu setting, D, shooting/display, D16 grid type, and here you select your grid type. The last three are aspect ratios. Let's select this time the 16:9, and then the custom monitor shooting display should be configured to show somewhere your framing grid. If you want to see this in the EVF2, then you have to go down one more menu point. In my Z5 Mark II, it's the D20, and you have to do the same. And if you configure like this, then you're going to be able to see the framing grid, which is the aspect ratio in this case, on your LCD and in the electronic viewfinder too. Obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages of using this method. For me, the biggest advantage is that I'm going to be able to compose my images in different aspect ratios, and the raw file is not going to be cropped. Another advantage is for me that in the framing grid there is a 5:4 aspect ratio available, which is not available when you use the normal aspect ratio functionality. The biggest disadvantage is that unfortunately the configurable framing grid option is only available in the newer Nikon Z cameras with the XP7 processor. So I was really sad when I found that it was not available in my older Nikon Z7 camera. You have only a framing grid there, which is a 4x4 framing grid. Well, we can't have everything, can we? Another disadvantage is that the cropping metadata is unfortunately not recorded in the raw file. So when you open your file later in post-processing, you have to apply your aspect ratio again. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. For me, the positives outweigh the negatives. So I'm definitely going to use this option in the future instead of the aspect ratios. I really hope that it was useful, at least for some of you. If it was, then please don't forget to leave a like. And if you like the content on my channel, then please consider to subscribe. Thank you ever so much for watching, and may the light be with you all.